only when there is a requirement to fetch anything or to update any of the components. At those times, we can go with the disconnected architecture type. What is the command? It is to insert a table with a column as well as a value specified into the new OLEDB command. Use OLEDB. So if we are working with our MS Access, Excel or legacy systems, then we can directly go with this part. Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the second session of Unit 4, that's under C# and .NET programming. The unit is all about introducing window forms, and yes, we have completed one more session with respect to this Unit 4. This is the second session. Over here, my name is Deepa Kutnikar. I'm working as an assistant professor under Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So let's see like what we have discussed in our session 1. So yes, in our session 1, we did discuss the 3 namespace GUIs. Then we also discussed what is the difference between the component class as well as the control class. Then followed by we did discuss what is the anatomy of a form. And up next, we did discuss the window forms control. And finally, we did discuss the architecture as well as the connectivity of Ado.NET. So these are the things that we have discussed in our session 1. And let's head forward and see what is the agenda of today's session. Yeah, in today's session, we'll be discussing about the connected versus disconnected architecture. Then followed by Ado.NET with the connected layer, that is OLEDB. Then forward, so we also do discuss with respect to WinForms integrating with Ado.NET. That's a very special case where we will be using Windows UI with Ado.NET. We do also discuss building a test case, and then we also discuss selecting a data provider followed by connected layer and OLEDB data reader. So this is the agenda of today's session. So let's start today's session. So let's start with connected as well as disconnected architecture. Connected, as the name itself specifies, the connection is possible, and over here the connection, it is initiated by the data reader. Okay, the connection is passed as well as initiated by our data reader. And one thing we have to note over here is the connection is physical. Okay, so we can say it keeps active connection open. So connection is possible and it will be there. Up next, it is responsible for fast and low memory overheads. Then we can say it will be only acting as a read-only and streaming model.mind stick. So yes, model.mind stick is one of a namespace that we use with respect to connection. Okay, that's under connected architecture. Up next, the next type is a disconnected. So this disconnected architecture is possible only by the data adapter as well as data set. So this is very important to note, like how the architecture initiates and how it works. So yes, disconnected, it works via the data adapter as well as for data set. We can see here the connection is not completely connected only when there is a specific requirement, like we have to update our data or we have to change it and we have to create a connection. At those times we will be initiating this disconnected part. Okay, so over here let's check opens connection only for fetching as well as updating. Only when there is a requirement to fetch anything or to update any of the components, at those times we can go with the disconnected architecture type. Then we can say it only works in memory. It only works in memory initially, then later it will be updated in the data. So yes, this is all about our connected as well as disconnected type of architectures. Up next, yeah, this is a .NET with the connected layers, and we can see here it is through OLEDB. First, we are defining the using namespace. Okay, under this we are defining our declaration, that is connection is which type of connection? It is connected with the OLEDB connection. Then we are writing connection.open. It is saying yes, I am initiating the open of a connection. Then variable command. So the command is being assigned by new connection command. And what is the command? It is to insert a table with a column as well as a value specified into the new OLEDB command. Okay. Then we have a command dot parameters. So we are updating. Okay. So yeah, we are updating a parameter with a value. Yes, it is possible. We have defined that. Up next, I have to execute, correct? So for that, the keyword or the instruction what we are giving is command.execute non-query. So it is only used for inserting, updating or deleting the requirement. So this is how we will be creating a connection, we will be updating the things and we will be moving out of the loop. So this is how a connection with new OLEDB layer is possible. So this is very specific to the architecture that we define. Up next, yeah, this is a continuation of a program where we did designed or defined a variable, and we can see here the variable reader is been assigned with a new execute reader, that is command.execute reader. All right. Up next, I want to read it. Okay. Read it how? Read it continuously. So I'm using a while loop, and inside that you can give any command. Okay. So over here we have just given a process reader, which is a column name. So in this way you can provide any data. It will keep on repeating the things for us for a long time. And you can see, as it has to run for a long time, we can only go with the connection or the connected architecture. Fine. So yes, we are done. We have closed the loops. Then forward by that's execute non-query. It runs on non-selected SQLs, and execute reader, it returns a forward only through a stream of results. So this is the instruction and its description. We can say like we have utilized this execute non-query in our code, correct? So yes, what it does runs only with a non-selected SQL commands. So this is all about our connected architecture. Up next is the integrating Windows UI with the Adobe.NET. Yes, it is very, we can say, a mind-blowing thing where we are including our window form UI as well as Adobe.architecture. So we can say that by using or by combining both of this, we will be able to get that high definition and high level information. So starting with integrating Windows Forms UI with Adobe.NET. All right, let's see a workflow like how this is possible. So on form load, so we have to initially create a form, correct? That's a window form. So it is been loaded. Now let's see what it does. It will be filling data set using our OLEDB data adapter. All right. So this is possible by using a data adapter. Done. Next is we have to bind the UI controls. Up next, the second step or the second flow is we have to bind the user interface controls to relevant data fields. Next is we have to use buttons if we want to create or delete, or we can say for inserting any of the information or the data by using this OLEDB command. So this is a workflow through which we can create or combine the window form UI as well as our Adobe.NET. Okay. So now let's see an example over here. Like we have to bind a list box, that's via a data and a binding source as well as a data table. So we have information where we will be using or utilizing it to go with the list box. All right. Yeah. So this is a sample workflow in order to combine our Windows UI as well as our Ado.NET. Next, let's see the role of Ado.NET data providers, like how the data is being provided through our Ado.NET architecture. All right. So in the previous session, we have seen the architecture of Ado.NET, like what are the components included in it as well as the workflow. Now, it is very simple and it becomes very crucial as we are completely working on data, right? So we have to go with this Ado.NET data providers. Yeah, let's start. This data providers is a set of classes used to interact with a specific database. So the data set can't directly get connected with the other devices. It has to first be initiated or connected with a database through which the database will manage the data set, and then it will take a decision like what is the process flow. All right. So that's why the database is very important. So this is a data provider. All right. Now let's see like what are the main components that are included if I want to work with a database or with a data provider. So the first component is a connection. So this is what we are studying from initial stage. So this is very important in order to transfer, in order to insert, in order to delete, whatever we have to make, this connection is very important. So yes, connection is established with our database. Okay. So as I told initially, the connection of a data provider should be connected with a database. Okay, that's done. Next, command. So this command is responsible to execute SQL or a different command sets. Then followed by data reader. So this will take care to read the data fast and forward way. Next one is a data adapter. Data adapter, it bridges between the database as well as a data set. Up next is our data set. It is a in-memory cache of data. These are few of the components. So let's move and check what are the other components too. Yes, it is SQL client. For Microsoft as well as SQL Server, we need a client, right? So if we initiate a request through a client, then a server will provide or accept the request. So that's there. Next, OLEDB. So for OLEDB data sources, especially for MS Access, then Excel, so at those point of time, we can get that connection or the access. Next one is ODBC. So this is responsible for the compliant sources. Up next is a Oracle client. If you want to work on a data set, which data set? That's Oracle data set, then you have to get connected with the Oracle database. So these are also the components or the roles through which the Ado.NET is directly or indirectly correlated with our data providers. Up next is the building a simple test database. So now we discussed like what are the types of connection and what are the components included in it. Then up next, it becomes crucial to understand like what is a database, or we can say how to build a database. So let's see our steps. Okay, the first step will be creation of database in MS Access or SQL Server. So it is dependent, like if you work on MS, you can give a access. Then if you want to work on SQL, you can go or create a request or a database through a SQL servers. Next, over here we have considered an example, that is student DB with a table. That's a student database, like what is the name of a student, what is the ID number, then followed by the age and the marks scored by that student. So this is a database. Up next, we have to insert some records manually. So if there is any record or the data missed, you can add it in a manual way too. Next, use Ado.NET provider. What is that? OLEDB or either SQL client to connect. So you can either go with both of the things or any one of the thing in order to connect with the database. Okay. All right, so these are the steps that are included if I want to build a simple test database. All right, next. So let's see the connected layer and OLEDB. Now, let's move forward and complete the example. We have already inserted and updated the things. In order to display it, we have to go with command. That's a new command with OLEDB. Delete from student where ID number is 1. Okay. So if I want to delete it, I can do that by defining it in a new command database. So finally, we have to define this command, that is execute non-query. So this is how we can define the operation that is required according to our changes or updates. So this was all about today's session and we have completed our unit 4. Thank you.